Well, good afternoon or good morning, everybody. We're here, Orrin and I want to do a special edition today about what we're doing this week at the state capitol. We think it's important that everybody out there understand that our rights are literally under fire, if you will, by the state legislature. Our California Constitution, the crux of what makes our democracy sacred in California, is under fire and attack. Orrin?
So our ability to self-govern through the public initiative process and our ability to hold government officials accountable when they fail to do their job is under attack. The legislatures are holding hearings beginning October 28th to revisit the way we conduct the public initiative process in California and the way we hold recalls. They want to make it so cumbersome, so costly, that it's prohibitive to do these things. Now, when California is a single party supermajority rule, the government officials that we elect into office are no longer held accountable. There's a checks and balance system that was put in place by our founding fathers, the separation of powers between the judicial branch, the executive branch, the administrative branch. And that doesn't exist when you have a super majority rule. And the elected officials operate with impunity, and they start doing things that are counterproductive to the good of the public. They start operating off of what they consider a mandate. They feel that they've been put in power. They have, this super power to enact things that wouldn't normally be in the public's best interest. And they turn a deaf ear and a blind eye to the needs of the public. So that's what we're defending. October 28th, there's the first of a series of hearings down at the state capitol. And Mike and I, Eric Early, Errol Weber, and others will be in attendance to speak on the west steps of the Capitol. We want everybody to come out and in a show of force, in a show of unity and resolve to stand united at the west steps of the Capitol to defend our ability to self-govern.
Let's also talk a little bit about what's on the table with this, more than just the recall, which they make it out to be, and I'll get to that in 1 second. There's really 3 things that they're discussing. We know about recalls, which state recalls are really hard to do. There's also initiatives, which you know about, are making new laws, which is the right of the people we have with direct democracy. But there's also referendums. And you'll notice that the tobacco companies, for example, agree or disagree, has a referendum on the upcoming election in 2022. Referendums are our rights to repeal a lot of the laws or any of the laws that we, the public, disagree with. So currently under direct democracy, we have the right to recall, both statewide and local. We have the right to put initiatives on the ballot, statewide and local. And we also have the right for referendums, which says that if the government, in allegedly doing its job, we, the public, disagree with it, have the right to repeal those laws. That's the basic crux of how a democratic system works with a republic representative system that we have in California. And Orrin, after a few more comments than you, I'd like to get of what's even wrong with the fact of them challenging what we did in the recall of Gavin Newsom.
100%. Folks, it's critical because the people of California have become the greatest threat to the power structure that's in place right now in Sacramento. And where and when we became the underdog in a government system that was formed by the people, for the people, and of the people, I have no idea. But the people of California have basically been labeled as the greatest threat there is to this supermajority power structure. And they're going to do everything they can to limit our ability to self-govern through this public initiative process and through the recall process. It's the last, literally the last mechanism in place that we have as a population to hold government officials accountable and to maintain the ideology of a representative government. So if we lose sight of that, it's literally the ability of a corporation to fire a CEO or an official within the company if they're not performing their job as prescribed. This is the same thing that we have with the recall process. And if we lose that, then we lose the ability to hold them accountable, and they operate with impunity. And we turn from a representative government into a tyrannical government. And we can't let that happen. We need everybody to show up in force on October 28th. That's a Thursday. It's a weekday, and it's tough to get people out to the Capitol, but we need everybody willing and able to come from far and abroad to the Capitol and tell them, hands off our Constitution. That's the state constitution, and we're not going to give you 1 inch of our freedoms. We're not going to allow you to modify the Constitution for your benefit, because it's put in place to protect our rights.
Again, do show up early so you can find parking. And I want to stress something else too, that another important reason that we need to show up in force outside the Capitol building on Thursday is they're not allowing us to go in for public comment. And I'm going to tell them right now, if anybody dares to watch this, some of the public comment I would give on the recall process. And if this gets out to some members of the press, I want you to make note of this. It's time to report the entire story. Yes, California has a 12% threshold of the people that voted for governor last time, and some states have 25%. However, those are states much smaller in population. And so the reality is, those in government, if you really want to up the number of signatures that it takes to save your sorry posteriors, we think you're doing a bad job, get more people to vote. That will automatically up the number of signatures we need to gather. Stop talking percentages and start talking number of signatures, which are driven by votes. But the reality is, when you're a member of a supermajority and can get elected by a small turnout, you don't care about that. Let me also add something else that the press is reporting that Orrin did a really good job of doing in the state. When you go to Colorado, which is compared often, they say, well, you need 25% in Colorado. Now, yes, Colorado only has a population of 6 million, so it's a lot less to gather. But also in many of those states, all the signatures that are gathered are only turned into a central Secretary of State. California requires, with our vast and diverse geography and people, for them to be distributed to 58 counties. The story isn't fully reported, just the narrative that, oh, it's so easy. So easy, in fact, it's only been done 4 times in history. So come out to the state capitol and hear what
only twice successful.
Successful. So the reality is this: for the people to have a voice going forward in our democratic system, come out, please, and join our voice this Thursday on the 28th and hear us, because the legislature won't. Thank you. And we very much look forward to seeing you at the state capitol. If you can't find it, stop any homeless person. They can probably point you there.